Hey students, this video is a companion piece to your point of view practice determining the opinion of the narrator practice document. So as you go through this document, you can also use this video as an answer key as well as a means to understand what you've done right or possibly wrong. So point of view can refer to two different concepts. The first one is one that's already been reviewed in previous videos and documents, and that is when point of view refers to terms such as first, second, and third person point of view, and the related terms such as omnipotent, limited, and objective. So when asked about point of view, you may be being asked about that. However, the second meaning of point of view, and the one we're going to deal with in this practice, is when asked about point of view, the question may be asking for you to look into the opinion of the author, narrator, speaker, or character. That is the second concept when point of view refers to the presented opinion. So for this practice, we're going to work with the second point of view by identifying the opinion presented in the excerpt. So now what I would like for you to do is practice with sample 1. Pause this video, complete the practice, and then come back when you're done. All right, go ahead and pause. So now that you've finished sample 1, let's review. So sample 1 reads, "It shouldn't have felt this way. Baba and I were finally friends. We'd gone to the zoo a few days before, seen Marjane the lion, and I had hurled a pebble at the bear when no one was watching. We'd gone to Dakota's kebab house after, across from Cinema Park, had lamb kebab with freshly baked naan from the tandoor. That should have been fun, spending a day like that with Baba, hearing his stories. I finally had what I wanted all those years. Except now that I had it, I felt empty, as this unkept pool I was dangling my leg into." So that is the excerpt that sample 1's questions are asking about. So let's take a look at the first question. It asks, in the excerpt, the narrator develops a point of view concerning his own emotional state. Which of the following words does not assist in developing this point of view? So the words that are presented are should and shouldn't and should. Oh, here we go, shouldn't and should. We have finally, we have empty, we have accept, and then we have the option that all of these develop the point of view. So the good first thing to think about is, what is his point of view? The speaker seems fairly sad and regretful here, so we're looking for words that would aid in that point of view. So when he says things like shouldn't and should, that's going to the ideas of, oh, I should do this and I shouldn't do this. So this creates a sense of confusion and tension and insecurity in our narrator, where we can tell he's struggling with what he should and shouldn't do. So I do think that helps develop the point of view of his emotional state. Finally. So here he says, I finally had what I wanted. This word finally has a lot of emphasis to it. It shows that he's been yearning for a long time and he finally has it. That aids to point of view. Empty. This one's quite clear. Empty. That's how he feels. It's a direct description of his emotional state. He feels empty. And then accept. Accept now that I had it. So here, this kind of goes along with the should and shouldn't. Oh, well, this, and this. Accept this. Again, it goes along with the struggle that the character is feeling. So what all of these do is it develops a point of view of struggle, of confusion, of not feeling quite right with the situation, and ultimately emptiness and feeling misplaced. So that would suggest that all of the provided answers assist in developing the point of view. They are all working to develop the same point of view where the narrator shares his emotional state. Now let's look at the second question. In the following excerpt, the narrator develops a point of view concerning his own emotional state. Okay? Which of the following best describes his point of view? So the way you would come to this is by kind of reverse answering this one. With these words, shouldn't, should, finally, empty, accept, what point of view is that developing? Is it developing a disappointed? The speaker is disappointed and confused that when getting exactly what he wanted, he still feels unsatisfied and depressed? Yes. The confused goes along with should and shouldn't, and accept, getting exactly what he wants, goes along with the word finally. He feels unsatisfied and depressed. That goes along with the word empty. all of these words create this point of view. Excited and impatient. We don't feel excitement. We do feel impatience. He's waiting for something, but he's not excited. That suggests happiness. Infuriated and maligned. He doesn't seem angry. We don't see a lot of anger words. We see more sad words. Timid and anxious. This could possibly be an answer. So let's read the whole thing. Timid and anxious that when traveling to new and strange places, he will forget about the places of his childhood. While this description up front could work, this just simply isn't true about the passage. So if you're doing process of elimination, you would likely eliminate B and C, bringing you to A and D, and then you would choose the best between them, bringing you to the answer A. All right, so that is sample 1. Now let's move to sample 2. So go ahead, pause this video, and complete sample 2 in your practice document, and then return to this answer. All right, now that you've completed sample 2, let's review. So sample 2's excerpt reads, consider a world in which cause and effect are erratic. Sometimes the first precedes the second, sometimes the second the first. Or perhaps cause lies forever in the past while effect in the future, but future and the past are intertwined. On the terrace of the Bundesstrasse is a striking view, the river Erie below, the Bernese Alps above. A man stands there now, absently emptying his pockets and weeping. Without reason, his friends have abandoned him. No one calls any more, no one meets him for supper or beer at the tavern. No one invites him to their home. For 20 years he has been the ideal friend to his friends, generous, interested, soft-spoken, affectionate. What could have happened? A week from this moment on the terrace, the same man begins acting the goat, insulting everyone, wearing smelly clothes, stingy with money, allowing no one to come to his apartment on the Lockenstrasse. Which was cause and effect? Which future and which past? So here we have this excerpt, and the first question asks, in the excerpt, the narrator shares a story about the man standing on a terrace. Which of the following best describes the point of view from which he accounts the story? So it's asking, in this excerpt, what is the narrator's point of view? Don't confuse it with the man's point of view. It's asking about the narrator's point of view. So our options are analytical, confunded, condemning, and sympathetic. So let's first do process of elimination. We can eliminate condemning. This narrator isn't critical of the man. He's not saying shame on him, he's doing wrong. So we can eliminate condemning. Sympathetic. Does he feel sorry for the man? Is he saying, oh, that poor guy, why doesn't somebody help him? Well, but it could sort of be in there, so let's keep it. Confunded. If we don't know what the word confunded is, that makes this a little more difficult, so we might keep it. But what confunded means is confusing and complex, which the narration isn't confunded by the man. Well, I guess he kind of is. All right, so we'll keep it. And then analytical. Is he analyzing in this excerpt? So we have 3 options, and that's kind of hard, but you got to pick which one is the best. So if we look at things such as what could have happened, which was the cause and which was the effect, and these listing of observations, we hopefully come to the conclusion that he's not being sympathetic, he's not being confused, he's being analytical. So the narrator is presenting a series of facts and questions in order to draw a conclusion, and therefore that is analysis. Now let's go to the second question. In the excerpt, the narrator shares his ideas through a specific point of view. Which of the following does not aid in developing this point of view? Again, these questions go together, and you'll see one or the other on the assessment. This answers this one, and this answers this one. So what you ultimately need to be able to do is identify these things independently in the excerpt so that you're able to come up with the correct answer to the multiple choice question. Let's take a look. So it says the use of rhetorical questions such as, what could have happened? Yes, that creates the analytical point of view. The use of the words such as cause, effect, future, and past. Yes, if we look at this line, which was the cause, which the effect, which the future, and past, These are important terms which the author is attempting, or the narrator rather, is attempting to define through analysis. So correct. The orderly lists that identify how the man has changed suddenly. Yes, that's the evidence. That's the evidence that shows what the man used to be and what the man is now. And it's asking the question, why did he change? That is analytical. The vivid description of the man's emotions that evoke a strong sympathy in the reader. So you might have felt bad for this man. So your gut instinct may say, well, this is correct also. But look more carefully. The vivid description of the man's emotions. That doesn't occur in the excerpt. There is no vivid description of his pain or his agony or his thoughts. It's actually very separate from the man. It just describes him from the outside, very kind of, what is the word that I'm looking for? Kind of clinically, is clinically describing his experience. And therefore, that's why the answer here isn't sympathetic and why this is incorrect. There isn't a lot of in-depth explanation of the man's emotions to make us feel very bad for him. Some of us might feel bad for him just because we can either relate or it reminds us of something we might have seen or someone we might know, but ultimately the narrator isn't trying to do that. All right, and therefore, what is not aiding in the point of view is D. All right, so now let's look at sample 3. Go ahead and pause this video and complete it. So now that you're done with sample 3, let's review. It reads, 3 minutes passed and Alfalfa emerged from the same servant's entrance as he had suspected she would. She was intent on avoiding him. Why? Why? The last he had seen of her, he remembered it well, was the day of Amma Clutch's funeral and the drunken party at the pub. She had fled to the Emerald City on some obscure mission never to return, while he had been dragged off to the eye-opening joys and terrors of the Philosophy Club. Rumor held that the great-grandfather, the eminent Thropp, had engaged agents to looking for her in Shiz, in the Emerald City. From Alfalfa herself there was never a postcard, never a message, and never a clue. So the first question asks, in the excerpt, the narrator develops a point of view concerning his feelings towards Alfalfa. Which of the following words does not assist in developing his point of view? So essentially it's asking, how does the guy, not the narrator, make sure to pay attention to who it's asking about, but how does the guy that the narrator is talking about feel about Alfalfa? Okay? So we have this word, he has suspected. All right, so suspect shows that he doesn't really trust her. Okay? He remembered it well. So this shows that he knows her and that he knows her well. He has memories of her. At the drunken party. Well, this isn't describing his feelings towards Alfalfa at all. This is describing the party. So this is likely what's not going to assist in his point of view of her. There was never a postcard, never a message, never a clue. So Alfalfa never sent these things, which shows his sense of abandonment. So suspected, remembered, and never all refer to how he feels about Alfalfa. We start to get this more complex understanding of their relationship. Not a good one. And drunken has nothing to do with it. It's describing the party. Therefore, drunken would be the word that does not assist in developing the point of view. Let's move to the second question. Here it says, in the excerpt, the narrator shares his feelings when he sees Alfalfa for the first time in months. Which of the following best describes the point of view in the excerpt? So again, these go hand in hand. So if you saw this question, you would need to independently go and notice these words, suspected, remembered, never. What is that showing? Okay, so it's showing he's suspicious, that he has memories of her, and that he feels abandoned. So which of these match that? Bewildered and betrayed. That could work. Furious and vengeful. Furious works, so we'll keep it for now. Joyous and inviting. This guy's mad happy. So we get rid of C. Logical and calculating. There's a ton of emotion in here. So it's not C or D. So we've narrowed it down to A and B, and you have to decide which one is better. So bewildered. If you didn't know what that meant, you would have to just depend on the second word. And we know betrayed is definitely right. He feels betrayed. She never did this, and she never did this, and she never did this. Furious, he is angry, but is he vengeful? Does he want revenge? No. Therefore, the answer is bewildered, which means confused.